So we welcome you back inside Fogarty Arena for the second half of the second period. 1-0 Arizona. Still 3 minutes and 15 seconds on the double minor penalty. Power play for Arizona. Minnesota able to get it down into the Arizona zone. As Arizona streak down the ice the other way on the right wing. Will drop it back to the blue line. Centering feed tipped away. And here comes Minnesota back up the right wing into the offensive zone the other way, shorthanded. Centering feed knocked around. Arizona will play it back into the Minnesota zone. Minnesota will get to it first. Arizona resets and now sends it back into their own zone as the Loons will try to get it in deep. Shot on goal saved. Arizona will work it back up into the far side corner. Minnesota, as the first half of the double minor comes to an end, still 2 minutes of power play for Arizona. Minnesota will have to chase this puck down back in their own zone. 7 minutes to play in the second period, 1-0 Arizona leading it. Still 1:40 of power play time for the Bobcats as they'll go chase the puck down back in their own end. Face-off coming in the Arizona zone with 6:36 to go in the second period. Back to the point is Arizona with 55 seconds in the power play. A shot blocked. They'll have to go chase it back down in their own end as they'll work it across the red line. Minnesota works in, a shot blocked. 5:40 to play in the second period. 1-0 Minnesota with the lead. Minnesota about to kill off the 4-minute double minor. Arizona changes. Minnesota back at full strength. Good job by the Minnesota penalty kill, killing off the double minor. 5 minutes to play in the second period. Arizona, though, still leading at 1-0. Shot wide of the net as it comes up into the corner. It's Minnesota back to the point with it. Centering feed tipped away as it'll come back up on the far side. Arizona comes through neutral with it. Arizona comes in just onside. Minnesota over on the near side with the puck. Minnesota driven back into their own end. Played back down deep into the Minnesota zone. Icing waved off. Arizona taking the puck back. Lister on the left wing sends it in deep to the Minnesota zone. 3:15 to go in the second period. It's 1-0 Arizona with the lead. Knocked away at the red line by Minnesota. Minnesota carries back into the Arizona zone. Under 2.5 minutes in the second period. Arizona leading 1-0 as they'll carry into the offensive zone. Now Minnesota will push it around their own net, get it into the neutral zone. Arizona pushed in. A good job by Minnesota to prevent Arizona from having a scoring chance. Loose and just pushed wide on the shot. Minnesota plays it back to the blue line. Puck sent all the way back down into the Minnesota zone with 1:27 to go in the second period. Arizona 1, Minnesota 0. Sent back in deep to the Arizona zone. .50 seconds to go in the second period. Loose in front and able to be covered up by the Bobcats. 44.4 seconds to go in the second period. 1-0 Arizona holding on to the lead. Minnesota works it, or Arizona on the far side. Arizona comes in, work it into the slot, but unable to get a shot away as it'll be played back into the corner. Down to 20 seconds to go in the period, and we'll get a whistle with 18.3. .15 seconds left to go in the period. Sent down low as it's blocked. And that'll take us to the end of the second period. Arizona holding on to the 1-0 lead after 2 periods. We'll be back in 60 seconds here on Hockey TV. We welcome you back to Fogarty Arena, Arizona, Minnesota in the 15U division. Third period now underway. Arizona leading 1-0. A minute 35 of power play for Minnesota to start the third period. Marat with the goal for Arizona early in the second period. Arizona works it down on the near side. Minnesota back to the blue line. Shot blocked as it works back into the circle. Shot through traffic was deflected just wide. Minnesota still with the puck. 30 seconds to go in the power play. One-time blast goes wide, hard off the boards. And the ricochet goes all the way back through the neutral zone. Offside on Minnesota here with 11 seconds left to go in the power play. 15:29 here in the third period. .11 seconds in the power play. Back to the point along the blue line. The shot tipped in. Two minutes gone by here in the third period. Arizona leading 1-0. Shot saved. Minnesota thought that was offside, but the officials let it keep going. Comes back out into the neutral zone as Arizona will reset with it. Arizona sends it in for icing with 14:33 to play in regulation. Arizona 1, Minnesota 0. Arizona plays it back across the blue line as Minnesota deflects it back out. Minnesota from deep in their own zone. Arizona gathers it back in the neutral zone. They send it back into the Minnesota zone. 3-minute mark of the third period. It's 1-0 Arizona with the lead. Marat had the goal for Arizona in the second period. Minnesota intercepts this pass. Shot blocked, but Minnesota has a second chance and a shot that goes wide. Minnesota carries back in. Sent up into the far side corner. Long shot blocked from Minnesota. Long drive and a gloved save. 13:11 to go in the third period. 1-0 Arizona leading. Arizona with the puck in their own end. They play it out to the red line. Minnesota trailing by 1, 12:40 to play in regulation. Minnesota works in. Five minutes gone by here in the third period. Arizona holding on to a 1-0 lead. Minnesota gathers it in the neutral zone as they try an odd man rush that doesn't quite develop. Back to the red line. A shot goes wide of the net. So we reach the 6-minute mark of the third period. Arizona 1, Minnesota 0. Arizona in gold, Minnesota in white with the red pants. Icing will be called on Arizona. The faceoff will come deep in the Bobcat zone with 10:45 to play in regulation. 1-0. Arizona leading it. Long shot goes high over the net off the glass. Arizona will play it up ice. Arizona takes the puck away. They send it in on goal from the red line. We're just past the 7-minute mark of the third period. Arizona leading Minnesota 1-0. It's a centering feed from Minnesota. It's intercepted. Arizona underneath the goal line with it. They work it back into the corner. Now let's try to get it back to the point. And we'll get a whistle with 9:29 left. Minnesota gets to it deep in their own end as they work it over onto the near side. Laid back out toward the red line. Puck is loose and covered up. Shot blocked. Another shot saved. Here comes Arizona through the neutral zone as they play it into the Minnesota end. Offside with 8:33 left. Drive off the boards, goes wide of the net from Arizona. Minnesota will play it back behind their own net. We're over midway through the third period. 1-0 Arizona with the lead. Flipped through neutral all the way down. Icing waved off. 8 minutes to play in regulation. Arizona a 1-goal lead, 1-0. Centering feed is tipped up into the far side boards as it's played back toward the red line. Minnesota comes back in. Centering feed from Minnesota. It's loose and just chipped over the net. As play is stopped with 7:36 left. Arizona with it in their own end, trying to clear, and it'll be tipped into the bench by Minnesota. Tipped off of a Minnesota player. So the faceoff will come in the neutral zone. With 7:27 left in regulation, it's a 1-0 Arizona lead. Minnesota comes in offside. 7:12 left to go. Arizona works it over onto the far side boards. 7 minutes left to go in regulation. Arizona 1, Minnesota 0. Minnesota with speed in the neutral zone. Come in offside. Arizona plays the face-off back through the neutral zone. Played in deep to the Arizona end as it comes behind the net, down into the near side corner. Back to the blue line. Shot off the glass as it comes down into the corner. Collision in the corner will stop play with 6:01 left. Penalty on Arizona, so Minnesota will have a critical power play. A good chance to get this game tied up late in regulation. Centering feed, worked back into the circle. Loons back to the blue line, somehow kept it onside. Minute 35 in the power play, 5:33 in the game. Shot was partially blocked. Back out across the red line as resetting with it is Minnesota in the neutral zone. Arizona plays it off glass. The face-off coming in the Arizona zone with 5:03 left. A minute 2 in the power play for Minnesota. Back to the blue line. 45 seconds in the power play. A shot might have gone off the goaltender. .35 seconds left as Minnesota with the puck on the far side half wall. Back to the point. Arizona trying to gain control, but Minnesota still with it. Loons work it into the corner. Now go back up into the left circle for a shot. Save. Puck still loose as Minnesota able to keep control. 13 seconds in the power play. Arizona able to gain control shorthanded. 5 seconds to go in the power play. They dump it in. That'll do it for the power play as Arizona will change and come back to full strength. Minnesota regains the Arizona zone. Minnesota pushes it down low. 3:50 left to go in the game. Arizona leading 1-0 over Minnesota. Minnesota thought there was a player on the other side. Arizona will be able to keep it in the Loon zone. We run down toward 3:12 left to go. Down to 3 minutes left in regulation. That'll be played in deep to the Minnesota zone. Loons carry through neutral. Down to 2:45 left. Don't expect the goalie to go anywhere for at least another 30 seconds to a minute at least as a shot on goal. And now with the face-off coming in the Arizona zone, that might change the thinking a little bit with the stoppage. Minnesota controls the face-off. Shot stick save. Stays in play in the near side corner. Loose puck jammed away at. Into the offensive zone is Minnesota as they try to center it. Now under 2 minutes to go. Arizona will send the puck all the way down into the Minnesota zone. Minnesota having to race back to play it. Minnesota goaltender still in the net. 1:33 left. Now he goes to the bench for the extra attacker. Minnesota 6-on-5 as we'll get a whistle and Arizona touching up on the puck. Tripping penalty. So it'll be a 6-on-4 situation for Minnesota trying to get this game tied up. We come out of the Loons timeout with a face-off in the Arizona zone. Minnesota on the power play, so it's a 6-on-4 with the empty net. 1:20 to go in the game. It's a drive, pad save as it comes down into the corner. Arizona will be able to clear it all the way down, but it'll still be an icing with 1:07 to go in the game. One minute to go in the game. If this they score, Minnesota ties the game with 54.7 left to go. Well, the 6-on-4 works out. And we're tied with less than a minute to go in regulation. Now, Arizona has led most of the game. Game is tied with 45 seconds remaining in regulation. as Arizona ices the puck, and the faceoff will be deep in the Arizona zone. .1 left. .17 seconds to go in the third period. As regulation comes to an end, Minnesota ties the game with 54 seconds to go. So we will go into a 3-on-3 overtime. We'll step aside, come back with your overtime period here on Hockey TV.